Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike here. The DRF race of the day for Sunday, March the 24th, race number 8 at Gulfstream Park. We're going 5/8 on the turf. It's the melody of colors for 3-year-old fillies. Let's take a look at this field, and there are some very promising horses in this race, led by the number 4 Crimson Advocate, who was the pace setter in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, but really made her mark 2 starts back when George Weaver sent her to Royal Ascot, and she won the Queen Mary.
She was a good 2-year-old, very fast. Her Breeders' Cup performance, not a bad one at all against some colts there, Dan, against a good field of colts too. I mean, it's a layoff here. Maybe she'll need one off the layoff, and this is a pretty good field overall, but she's the horse to beat.
She was the speed of the speed in the Breeders' Cup. It'll be interesting to see how that speed plays. She should be fresh. We take a look at our Timeform US pace projector. There she is, right up and on the lead, along with 3 El Terreno, who has been very, very impressive on a synthetic surface. I guess the 7 Let Them Watch is kind of the key to this pace because she's been very fast on dirt, Mike, but it's been on dirt and it's been going longer. I don't know if she's as quick as Crimson Advocate.
Yeah, I don't think that she is. And we'll see how fast El Torino is too, Dan. I mean, maybe she's this fast. She just hasn't really had to go that fast in her first 2 starts because she just absolutely towered over the competition.
Turf debut for the number 1 Fast Motion that you see at the back of the Timeform US pace projector. It looks like she's going to need some hitting up front to do her very best. She cut all the way back in trip last time out, and maybe that hurt her a little bit. She was beaten 2 lengths when she was entered for a $16,000 tag. So this is a big step up in class.
A big step up in class. This is mostly a dirt pedigree as well, Dan. It's not really bred to be better on this kind of surface. She just looks like she's in way over her head against this field.
Tiger Bell showed some form overseas last year as a 2-year-old. She won a Group 3 race at Longchamp going 5/8 of a mile. She was also entered in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. She pushed the pace in the early portion, and then she tired pretty badly. She's now with the Safi Joseph barn. Maybe she could fall into a decent trip tracking the leaders from the pocket.
Yeah, we'll see if she can just do better if she doesn't make the lead this time. I mean, she was pretty good in France, but the Group 3 win before the Breeders' Cup, she just had a really easy trip on the lead that day. She couldn't get that trip in the Breeders' Cup. Dan, listen, she finished last that day. It was not a terrible performance. I mean, she was still hanging around trying well inside the 8th pole of that race. She just finally wasn't good enough and wound up getting outfinished by everybody, but she ran okay in that race.
We've seen Christophe Clement pull this trick in the past with a pretty good synthetic horse, moving to turf, sprinting on the turf. El Terreno was a dominant debut winner at Presque Isle Downs last fall, and then showed up at Gulfstream, and it doesn't get much easier than this, going 5/8 of a mile, where she breezed to the lead, opens up in the stretch, and it looks like a morning workout.
No telling how good she is at this point, Dad. I mean, she hasn't broken a sweat in either of her first 2 starts of her career. Easy speed, never faced a challenge either time, never gave the field a chance either time. There's no telling how good she is. This is a really tough spot. Good test for her.
By Speightstown, she'll try turf for the first time. Crimson Advocate, we've talked about. She's already a multiple stakes winner. She is a stakes winner at Gulfstream over course and distance. In the Breeders' Cup, she sort of acted up in the paddock and behind the gate and then in the gate. And then she showed good early speed right inside of Big Ev's, but Big Ev's got the better of her in the stretch, and she was a lot tired. A lot more tired than some of the others. She's going to show speed in here. It'll be interesting to see what we get out of her. Has she matured from 2 to 3, or have these horses caught up to her?
Yeah, that's one of the questions of the race for sure. It's a good spot for her to come back in, though. Again, her Breeders' Cup was good. She didn't have any real excuse in there, but it was not a bad performance at all. Just outfinished for 3rd very, very late in there. But I thought she ran pretty well in that race. 88 buyer as a May 2-year-old over course and distance. This filly can run.
Trumpets, the number 5, almost pulled off a shocking upset in her career debut in her one and only start as a 2-year-old. She was 40-1, and she took them all the way down to the stripes. She proved that race was no fluke second time out in one of these maiden optional claiming events. Let's watch Trumpets. Well, she wasn't 40-1. She was 4-5, but this is some good stuff against a weaker field.
Yeah, this is a pretty impressive performance. And you're right, her career debut was actually a pretty good performance as well, but obviously benefited from the run, took a big step forward here, smashes this field. Another horse, though, switching surfaces off of a maiden win and stepping into, listen, sometimes these races don't don't come up that tough. This race came up tough.
She happens to catch not only one good one, but potentially two or three. That was an impressive race. The Neolithics right now have done okay on the turf, but it's too early to say whether he's going to be a turf stallion. The 6 is Doton. This is a horse that could benefit if the pace is fast. She just missed last time out, rallying from out of it, going 5/8 of a mile. She's a horse that's probably going to be outrun early, but she'll kick late. She's going to be a price, and maybe if she gets the right race flow and trip, she could sneak into the number at the very least.
Sure enough. I mean, it's just another filly in this race, though, Dan, who's going to have to find a way to take a step forward. And maybe the trip will go a long way towards that. This pace could get contested. She's probably going to sit off it and try to make a run through the stretch.
Let Them Watch is a multiple stakes winner on dirt, trying turf for the first time. She is by Maximus Mischief. She ran into a pretty good filly last time out in the Glitter Woman into Champagne, who came back and ran a very good second in the Devona Dale down at Gulfstream Park. Speed is her game, however, and turning back to 5, she better have the afterburners on, drawing outside some of these speeds, lest she be hung wide in a stalking position.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for her that even if they think she's a turf horse, that they switch over in this kind of race where there's just tons of speed to her inside, because it just really works against her. And she's also another horse, as good as she may be on dirt, and I think she's pretty good. She's not bred to be a turf horse.
Speaking of speed, how about the 8 Rip Around, who's making her first start for a very good trainer in Bill Morey? Last time out was at Keeneland during the fall meet. She was in against the boys in the Indian Summer, and she showed high speed in that full field to actually make the lead after the half mile before tiring. Drawing outside some of the other speeds, however, I'm just not sure how this trip works out.
Yeah, me either. I mean, another speed in the race, another horse who's going to have to improve. But at least this one has turf form, has a really good trainer in her corner, and is drawn towards the outside of the other speeds. So maybe if it's possible, she can sit a little bit and run. I mean, of the bigger prices in this field, there weren't that many interesting ones. She's at least a little interesting.
Maybe the 9 Twirling Queen's the right stalker in here if you think this race comes down to race flow, because she has good tactical speed. While she did win her debut on dirt, she looked very green that day at Ellis Park, and she scored on her first race on synthetic last time out, first time Jose D'Angelo, where she sat just off of the pace. She attacks and makes the lead, and she is gritty to win. She's still a little bit green, as you can tell, but she's got some turf pedigree top and bottom, especially for sprinting.
Yeah, she does. Ultimately, just got let go at too big a price here, Dan. I believe this was a race of the day that we did, and she just kind of got overlooked in here off of dirt form, switching surfaces, but she ran pretty well. She also got a really good trip in that race, and the favorite, who's also back in this field, did not get a very good trip in that race, but she took a step forward last time.
You might finally get a price on the number 10 Kareah, who's been odds on in her last 3 races, and she's scored in every single one of them, all on the synthetic surface at Gulfstream, including this race, a first level allowance going 5/8 of a mile, where she was simply too fast for them.
Yeah, I mean, she found the right field here, but it's another move in the right direction for this filly, Dan. She didn't only start on turf once in her debut. She didn't win that day, but she ran fine in that race against a Wesley Ward first, who wired that field, who looks really good. And she just keeps getting better every time they send her out there. I'm not ready to think that the synthetic surface is what she really wants. I just think she's getting better through racing.
Todd Pletcher's going to switch surfaces with the number 11, Prettily Liam, who looked pretty good, winning her career debut going 5/8 of a mile, then had a no-hope trip when the beaten favorite behind Twirling Queen last time out. She's bred for turf. She should get some pace to run at. How much does this post position bother you? Because it's not an easy one.
Yeah, the post is a big detriment to her chances, I suppose. But I do think she's talented, Dan. She's bred to be a turf horse. And she's got the right running style for this race, because to me anyway, her main competition, they're all speeds. And she's able to rate and run, as she showed on debut. She got really unlucky last time when losing at a short price back on the all-weather. This is supposed to be her surface, Dan. She might be a fair price in here.
Hey, maybe the outside will work. She got skunked on the rail and behind horses last time. At least she's got a free and clear shot if she stays outside and wide. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Melody of Colors. You're going with Prettily Liam. She, again, had a lot of trouble last time out and might get the race flow. I'm looking for a little bit of a price with Trumpets, Mike. I just love the way how she won last time out. The problem is she's going to have to work so hard in order to do this. I need at least 15 to 1.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid the speed horses outside of the favorites, and I do think Crimson Advocate's the horse to beat here, layoff or not. I just figure I can maybe catch her at the right time here, first start back. And Prettily Liam, I was taken with her debut, Dan. I thought she ran really, really well that day. She's bred to be a turf sprinter.
And she has the recency edge over El Terreno as well. That horse is coming off of a 3-month layoff. I have a feeling she might be okay. 11-4-3-2 for Mike, 5-3-4-10 for me. This is a really nice race. Hope it holds together. The melody of colors at Gulfstream on Sunday. Good luck.